Alrighty, how's it going, everybody? It's Paulie, back at it again with another video. So today I wanted to bring you guys a little video on how you could turn your doodles into a comic book. Within this sketchbook here, it says it was done in the year 2022, so that's 3 years now, but it took me 2 years to take some sketches that I did in here and make them into a comic book. I made this comic book 2024, March of 2024, and yeah, I did most of this sketchbook during the summer of 2022. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly showcase some sketches I did within this sketchbook. It's not going to be a full sketchbook tour. I'm going to flip quickly to the sketches that we're going to be paying attention to this video, but I just wanted to mention how the purpose of this video is basically to show you how comic book making, or even just picture making in and of itself, never a lightning in a bottle kind of moment, or waiting until the inspiration strikes. It's just a doing it kind of process, and I bring this up, this is the message of this video, is because this is really like speaking towards me too. For the longest time, ever since I was a kid, I always wanted to make comic books. Love comic books. I love manga. I love anime and cartoons, and so I always wanted to tell stories through sequential illustrations or images, which is basically found in the form of comic books and manga, right? So, but I would always get wrapped up in like how amazing the artwork was, as well as now recently how great the storytelling was, writing wise and visually. I would always get hung up on that, like, man, I got to get to that person's level before I can even think about making a comic book. And so with this in the back of my mind and everything like that, one day as I was doodling at work, just started sketching up this character right here, this guy with a shovel. This is during the summertime, so it's a little far from winter, but this comic book idea I always had in the back of my mind, of like a guy, I don't know, just shoveling the streets of Buffalo. We get some crazy winters here in Buffalo. Depending on where you live in Buffalo, you definitely get it a lot worse than other sides of Buffalo. But so my mom and dad's house, I would always, for the most part, shovel the driveway and everything like that. And so I would always think about, whenever I'm shoveling, I'm like, man, wish there was a superhero to take care of this kind of stuff, And so I guess with that and like boredom hitting at the right time at work, I started sketching this like weird page layout, like borderless, like storytelling going on. I'm a huge fan of Sergio Topi. His work is amazing, and a lot of the time, like figures are like imposing upon another panel. It's just got some really cool panel work. Definitely check out Sergio Topi's work. But yeah, being inspired by all of this, it just culminates in this like little sketch that I did at work, and trying to tell a story of like this guy having a special shovel, and he just goes around helping people, and then like he has like an encounter with like a well, we'll get to it, but yeah, we got some more sketches going on. And so had this here, I just sketched that out, and I'm like, this is cool, and so I'm going doing some doodles of some faces, and then I want to continue the story, and so I did a few more weird page layouts of like the reveal, and like turns out it was like a big old bison. I always had this character in my head too, of this character named Buff Bison. It's supposed to be like a Hulk, but like a buffalo that got Hulkanized or whatever it is, got hit with some gamma rays. That's not the exact background story that I'm thinking of, but I just thought it was interesting, to have this buff, muscular bison that gets stronger when he gets angrier. And so we get this like action scene. I don't know how to do choreography when it comes to action scenes, and I want to get better at that with new installments of this story. But yeah, we got all this happening. I'm kind of revealing the story to you, except for this page. This is how I initially thought it would be, you know, it conclude, but we'll save some we'll save that for if you buy the comic. You know, if you buy the comic, go ahead and buy the comic. But before we get too far in the video, here is the verse of the day. Alright, let's get back to it. So yeah, I was like really proud that I was able to like finally get something that I liked for this comic book idea that I had. And so I did more sketching on like what would this Bison character look like, you know, in an idle pose, or just trying to figure out what he'd look like. More work on like what this shovel guy may look like. Trying to figure out the science behind, you know, obviously I'm not a scientist nor an inventor nor even a smart guy. So just figuring out how to explain away, you know, in a comic booky way, like how the shovel works. It's supposed to be like a heated shovel to make obviously the snow melt faster within the shovel. So yeah, doing studies of shovels, trying to like take this previous sketch and make it to where, like, you know, like I'm just trying to figure out the Bison's proportions, maybe figuring out some like iconography, like what would it be on a jacket, or maybe even a logo. Sketch them even some more, like, and trying to figure out some, you know, covers too. So yeah, just doing work, and you know, obviously this is all intermingled with just playing around within the sketchbook. I might do like a more proper sketchbook tour for this sketchbook. So I'll flip through the sketchbook, and this is pretty much the last sketch that I have of this shovel hero. And so with this sketchbook, you know, concluding in the end of 2022, I actually like really wanted to explore this character and this story that I mapped out with this buff Bison and this shovel hero. So I took to a different sketchbook to ideate some more and figure out, like, you know, how I would represent snow and what have you. So that's the end of this sketchbook. And so we bring in this sketchbook here. That was started in mid 2022 as well, and ended around the same time. Is that the same date? That's the same date. As well. But yeah, so I'm not gonna do a full sketchbook tour of this one either. Let me know if you would like to see like a sketchbook tour of this one. Got some really cool stuff in here. Some really neat sketches. So here we see some, like, you know, more fun stuff with Shovel Guy. So like this is like, I don't know if you can tell, a bit messy, but just maybe like an action pose he hits, like when like the going gets tough, he like just swings his shovel with all its might, you know, and defeats his enemy that way. I know in this sketchbook I do a lot of like I was saying, just figuring out how I wanted to depict material with ballpoint pen, because that's what I ended up doing. I drew out the entire comic book with ballpoint pen. So here are some like studies of like snow gear that like maybe I could take influence from. This is like some different styles of coats as well. You can see that this is the one I ended up going with, like a longer trench coat kind of thing. You know, it could have went more bulky. Maybe that'll be for like another issue where it like upgrades his gear or something. I really like the shape of this. You know, I'll like just go straight down, unassuming almost. And then we got like, you know, some bison head studies, like a Sasquatch character. Yeah, some Sasquatch studies. Like, you know, I wanted them to be like an abominable snowman kind of thing, but just with a bison head put on top, as well as like, you know, the musculature of the Hulk. But yeah, just trying to figure out like, you know, what I wanted to do with the comic. Another study of the Shovel Hero. And so this is where I was talking about with like trying to study material. These are, I'm not too sure how to pronounce them, but like Zhao snow monsters. Within this snowy area, there's like these really interesting structures that are made out of snow. And they just really have some like interesting forms. And so I was trying to play with like, maybe the Buff Bison character is made out of snow and like, you know, black ice and the like. But so yeah, here we have like a splash page, or not a splash page, kind of like, this is like a character sheet. I think this is essentially pretty close to how I wanted Shovel Guy as named here. You know, this is gonna be like the close to the cover title, or at least, yeah, this is what is translated into inside, maybe a graphic. But yeah, just trying to play with like the lettering, you know, forming a shovel. And so I'm really trying to like, you know, make this comic book a thing, put in effort and time into it, but also, you know, making it as silly as it can be, to make it as like a low effort or like a minimum valuable project, I want to say it's called. There's a video by Jake Parker that I watched a while ago, talking about this concept.
By the way, this isn't a full endorsement of Jake Parker and everything he's done, but, you know, it was a helpful video to watch, because this is a full endorsement as well, because I use a lot of techniques from my man Alfonso Dune, and a lot of his penmanship work, so a lot of his pen work, so yeah, I love that guy and his work. I love both of their work a lot. Very great artists. You know, maybe with the formers not being the greatest person. Who knows? Who knows? I have no idea. But yeah.
Cool stuff in here. Yeah, let me know if you guys want to see the sketchbook tour of this sketchbook as well as this sketchbook, because there's some really cool things in here, just sketches and what have you. But anywho, so from that one page, so from this page, I wanted to maybe get like a sense of what the color scheme would be for the character. And so I did, like, you know, as you see right here, me throwing this sketch into Procreate and then like figuring out, okay, what do I want this guy's, like, you know, color scheme to be? What do I want his snowsuit to look like? You know, just going through different colors. From the initial layout, I started to like actually, so from these initial layouts, I started to draw the actual comic. You know, starting here, you know, I couldn't find a better way. Like, I didn't know of a better way, like, to stage and lay out this story other than how I had it. Because I really liked how the initial, like, energy and the composition of everything, how it flowed, was going. So here's the original artwork in frames. I will get to why they are in frames in just a moment. This is almost like a director's cut. So please excuse the messy desk. So this is the original artwork for the first page. I did this a while back. I forget when I had to do it either 2022 or like maybe early 2023. And I would go through the entirety of 2023 telling everybody like, yeah, I'm gonna be working on this comic book. It's gonna come out during the winter. But yeah, so I worked on this page and I was like super excited for it. I worked on the second page and I was super excited for it. Once again, I'll get to why they're in frames in a moment. But yeah, I finished these 2 pages. I was super excited for them. I was doing them with the crystal big pens. They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pens to work with. They just give you some really nice lines. Like you'll see within these pages, like, you know, how thick you can get with these lines. And all of this was done with, you know, big pens. So, you know, I used the 4-color pen. I used the blue ink as the under sketch, as you see, and then I went over it with the crystal big pen. And it was a lot of fun. It was very tedious to get all those hatching right and like get the total pieces and what have you. But I worked at it. Finally sat down at the beginning of 2024 and like really sat down. Was like, okay, I'm gonna get this done. I want to say around like January, February is where I like really started to hone in. And it was like, you know, I gotta lock in on this thing. So started going through the pages, like I said, closer to like the sketchbook, just using what I initially penned down as the story beats. You know, obviously working on what needed to be worked on, like, you know, having the making things darker on one side to like draw the eye to where it needed to go within the story. Now obviously, if you guys get the comic, please let me know. Like give me feedback as to like what can be done better with the story. If you choose to buy the comic, thank you so much. There is a free alternative as well that has the original artwork scans that you can just pick up for yourself in my Gumroad. So please make sure if you're interested to definitely check that out. Yeah, so this is page 3. You know, got the character that's been following. Got the character that's been following Shovel Man or Shovel Guy in the you know, in the background. Finally reveals himself as this huge bison guy. He goes in for a punch, then he's like quickly like stopped in his tracks. He's like, you know, gets burnt a bit by the heat from the shovel. He's like, yeah, goes to throw a punch, and you know, Shovel Guy's quick thinking, you know, shovels him off his feet. And you know how the saying goes, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So yeah, you can see, once again, just trying to follow the story beats that I had set up for the comic, you know, and just cleaning it up, trying to do as best as I can to like make the story as clear as possible. And it finally, you know, gets to this climax of like, you know, Shovel Guy putting his all into the swing, and then, you know, knocks the buff bison out. And so once again, yeah, I had this idea of like what I thought may happen at the end of the story, or like, you know, he's like, now he's chilling in his couch like they're fast friends or something like that. But my wife was like, nah, you know, that's not the most satisfying ending. And I agree with her. It's like, this is kind of weird that like it like is topsy-turvy, or like within the same, you got that parallel or like that repetition of him, you know, getting knocked out a second time, and then him, you know, sleeping on the couch. Like, it was just like, it's kind of weird story-wise. And then, so with this being like, you know, with a lot of the original artwork being drawn, you know, traditionally, if you buy the comic, you'll see that it was digitally rendered, like and colored and what have you. This comic is black and white. You'll see, just give you 2 pages. It's a free ski. But yeah, it's like digitally painted within Procreate. Wanted to do a few panels of cleanup where, like, you know, trying to make the story a bit clearer as to like how I wanted to frame it and everything like that. Kind of fix his face as well. His face was looking a little too similar to mine for whatever reason on the first page, and so this is like corrections of that. I didn't do original, like I didn't do the lettering artwork in this panel, and so I wanted to do that on this one, you know, then digitally composite it all together within my iPad. And so yeah, and this is the alternate ending, or this is the alternate panel to how I wanted to fix this story beat right here. And so he's like, you know, going out for another mission, and then he gets greeted by Buff Bison at the end. So a lot different than what I had originally drew 2 years prior. But I thought this was fun. It was open-ended. This is my first little comic issue of this story, and I didn't really think that it needed a second issue or anything like that. But based off of how positively Shovel Guy was received at like different shows that my wife and I went to, and even doing like free comic book day here in Buffalo, with like a local comic book shop I've been shopping at since I was a young kid. I'm in the works of doing issue number 2. So if you want to follow along with that process, as well as like the updates as to what story beats and how I want to take this character, where I want to go with him, then definitely subscribe. Make sure you're following along on this journey. That's how I turned these sketches of just a guy with a shovel into a comic book. Now I wanted to get into why these pieces were framed. You have to tune in next week to figure out how I turned this comic book now into a gallery show, where I got to sell some of my art pieces and artwork, you know, just showcasing comic book making abilities as well as some painting skills, you know. So check back next week on that video. If it hasn't been already filmed and put out, check it out here. But until then, catch you guys in the next one. God bless. Have a good one.